Yo, this is. God, I ain't sleeping that much lately, and I am delirious as fuck right now, and just thinking a lot about what the fuck. I think I might need a girlfriend. I don't know, like something to get me incentivized to play again because I get bored again. I mean, these last few weeks, I've barely been out there again. So, you know, I'm just trying to get motivated again, but it's been a little tough lately. It's been kind of boring. So, I got a little story from last week with a dealer. It's just a quick situation where I bet $40 somebody called. And a lot of dealers do this where they don't count the money. Like they see a player throw out a number of chips in a not organized manner. They eye measure it and then they just pull it in. They don't count it. And I don't like when they do that. And I know they're doing it a lot throughout each day, but they're also gonna make a mistake eventually. So this dealer does that and I ask him, I'm like, can you count it? And this is a dealer I see plenty of times and it's like I don't think he likes me that much, but he doesn't mind me too much either. It's just like kind of a mixed relationship. He's like, I counted it. And I'm like, can you just show me? I mean, and he shows it to me, and okay, we had the right number. And I think I had said to him, I was like, no, you didn't count it. I was like, you just pulled it in. He's like, I counted it. And I'm like, and now, I was actually, I might have been the youngest player in the game. And you got all these other guys, siding with the dealer thing and always been doing all his life, kind of like low key laughing at me for being a pain about this. You know something? Fuck that. When I dealt poker, I didn't do that. I mean, it's not a good look. I mean, I think every dealer should deal every hand like they're on an audition. That's what I think they should do. That's what I think doing the job is all about. But whatever. Got over it. And I barely played the rest of the week. Or wait, I think I played a little bit at the Bellagio at 2 in the morning for a couple hours. I wanted to play longer, but the game broke. I just went to go play the 2-5. The Mets lost an incredibly brutal game, and I was so mad that I just had to go out and play. And then I played again on Sunday for a few hours and got some hand histories to go through there, along with some other stories of behavior of people. The first hour or so, a little more than that, I could barely get in the action. I think I won one hand. And all three times I had pocket pairs, 4s, 6s, and 5s, as it turned out. All three times there was a 3-bet in front of me. I mean, can only buy in 500, so you got to be very selective with pocket pairs to begin with. And there's not a lot of 3-betting. And every time I'm getting something that I can actually do something with, it's got to result in a fold. Lovely. But before any of these pocket pair hands happened, first I had a couple of single raise pots. I raised with king 10 off and the cutoff, the button called. The button seemed like a reasonably competent player. I mean, I knew he looked like he was winning. Whenever you see $1,400 stack at the Bellagio 2-5, you're like, whoa, he's fucking crushing it. And then the win 2-5, you're like, oh, he just bought in with the max. So it's a much different feel. And the flop comes queen jack 4, I think, for heads up. I think checking out of position is always good with your range here, but I bet 25. He calls. Turn is another jack, 2 hearts, a good card to check. He checks back. And I think I should just be overbetting river and just try and rep a trap. Maybe I've just been experimenting with a smaller size. I mean, I'm fucking shot playing like this. I mean, maybe I shouldn't even be there, but river's a 7 and I pot it and he snap calls with pocket 6s. I mean, if I bet 250, well, we know he's not going to snap call, but who knows if he calls at all. So, I guess this pot size bet just is obviously going to be a far less intimidating, but it's still a pretty big size, and I don't expect to get called by 6s there constantly. I mean, he beat me to the pot. Then I got hand blind versus blinds versus the same guy. I got ace-6 off, raised small blind. He calls big blinds. It came king 7-4 with 2 clubs. I got the ace of clubs. And I had played another BVB with this guy and had check raised top pair against him on the turn. So when I checked the flop, he checked back. The turn was a 5, and I bet 25. He called, and the river is an ace. So the pot's got about 95. I bet 15 to induce. He pots it to 125, and I pretty much have to call when I'm going to do this. I mean, you can maybe think about readjusting with a live read and fold, but I call, and he's got the nuts. 8-6 off. So I got the nut blocker. He doesn't bet flop with his gut shot, doesn't raise the turn with the nuts, and pretty much gets the max on the river. Okay. Next we have a hand where I have king queen suited. There's a raise and a 3-bet to 40 in front of me and a cold call to 40. Now the guy who had 3-bet to 40 had 3-bet this same opponent to 70 earlier. He had 3-bet 20 to 70, and he didn't seem like that good of a player. I mean, hardly anyone at the Bellagio 2-5 is. So I took this as he's probably 3-betting a little light here. I mean, not like too light, but just a hand that's not great. A hand you don't want to get cold 4-bet by. I made a 140 with the king-queen suited, and the open raiser folded, and the next two guys called. So we got about 440 out there, and the flop comes 9-9-7, one spade, and in these very low SPRs and these 4-bet pots, which I don't play a lot of to begin with, I don't know what to do here. I mean, I think I need to just check. Just because what are the chances I get a fold from both guys now? I mean, any turn jam is going to be really small, so it's not like I can really power anyone off like I could if we were both deep stacked. Then I'd at least have a shot at that. I mean, I have a lot of turn cards that help, any king, queen, 10, jack, spade, but it's just, I don't know. I mean, if I'm going to bet, I mean, maybe I could bet really tiny, but if I bet tiny, then I could get raised. And if you're going to bet really tiny, then maybe you should just check. Just wave the white flag in a sense. I mean, it's like you call 4-bet with a hand you're trying to get a fold. Not only did you not get all the folds, you got called by 2 players. In any event, I bet 170, and the 3-better who had made it 40, he shoves. And then the next guy who had cold called the 40, he shoves. So, okay, fold. And the guy who had rejammed the flop, and those two are actually pretty deep with each other. So the jam from the guy who had 3-bet pre and now is check raising the flop with a player to behind him, if he's going to jam, he should be mindful of the fact that he's deep with the guy, and if he's like not nutted, then maybe he should just call, and if he is nutted, then maybe he should just call. Let the other guy get curious. So I just don't like his jam with any hand, and he ran into it. He ran into 9-8 suited. The guy who had rejammed the flop had 9-8 suited, flops trips. The 3-better said I needed jack, so we figure he has jacks, and that didn't happen. Now, the guy who wins this 9-8 hand, I mean, every time he kind of talked like this. He was just had this constant rasp, and he was God moding for a long time, so he would not shut up. I mean, poker just brings out the little kid in everybody, too, when people are winning. They get so joyous and loquacious. They don't act that way so much when they're losing. It doesn't mean they're bad company, but nothing gets a person talking and excited like winning in a poker game does, especially when you don't play that often. And, we depend on him making this cold call pre. It's obviously this gigantic spew, but it's still so tilting every time you watch it happen. It's just like, God. But look, we all know it's a necessary evil. We only say this about 1,000 times a day, every day we play. So at some point, we need to get used to it. Good timing, though, the next hand. The funny thing is about this 500 cap, you got to top off quickly, because if you have 300 instead of 500, that ain't the same thing as having 1,300 instead of 1,500. It's a hell of a big drop, and I'm always a little slow to top up, and I don't necessarily have the chips with me. And I think I did, but I didn't top anything up. And the next hand, I got ace-king suited. And I think I had around, 360-ish. And one big fish makes it 15. There's 2 more calls, and I make it 70. I mean, I don't want to just rip. But, well, maybe ripping is good, because maybe you can get called by worse. But I made it 70, and they all called. So we got 280 out there. Comes 10, 7, 4, rainbow. I got a backdoor flush. I can't do anything now. They check. I check. Turns an ace, top pair. Yummy, I hope. you just kind of hope no one bets into you because if they're betting that card, you'd think they'd have something. So the biggest fish out of position against all of us, of course, he bets 180. Folds back to me. But what am I going to do? I got no fucking money left. I mean, if he's got it, whatever. He's probably the guy I'd want to see be betting the most often. So I jam 261, another 81 on top. He calls. Oh, no. He didn't call. Fuck. Yeah. Just rolls right off your tongue to assume he called. He folded. He folded for another $81. He was getting close to 9-1. I mean, even with a gut shot, you still have to fold. But he just, I think he would have called with a gut shot. So he just total spaz and punting. And this is when the expert commentary came in. He was just like, God, he's like, every time I bluff, I lose. I was like, I never troll anybody. I mean, when I win, and I fucking never say too much when I lose. I mean, I usually bite my tongue about the freaking terrible play unless they say something like directly to me or ask me a question. And I said to him, I was like, it's a good spot to bet into half the table when that turn card comes with nothing out of position. I mean, I was like, I'm just kidding. I was like, I'm not, but I am. Or, but I'm not. I don't know. Whatever I said, it was like, I was definitely talking some shit. I mean, it was the fact that he was like, sort of like complaining. I mean, he was being friendly about it, but he was like giving this low key complaint about he bluffed here and he lost. It's like, you got 3 players behind you and you got total air. You couldn't even call with 9-1 odds and you're betting out here. Like, are you nuts? And the sick thing is, the guy who folded, one of the guys who folded then said after the hand he had 9-8. He had an open-ended straight draw. And this was the guy who just won that other big pot in the cold 4-bet pot by me when he had 9-8 suited. And I'm not saying he has this automatic call on the turn. He's not getting a great price, but he is against that fish. And you just kind of think he would have gone for it. I mean, he cold calls 40 with 9-8 suited when that betting is not done yet pre-flop. But he doesn't call 180 into 280, playing still fairly deep against the fish, who you're assuming has at least an ace, maybe better. I mean, if you can hit your straight, don't you think maybe you have a pretty reasonable chance of winning a decent-sized pot? I mean, you just think he would have called. Now, we don't know what the river was because the guy folded to my $81 raise. So, all right, so that breathed a little bit of life back into me, had it promptly taken right back out. Folds to me on the cutoff. I got ace-5 off, make it 20. The big blind calls. Once again, it's not a player I particularly fear. I mean, these people think that I'm bluffing a little bit, because of the king-10 hand, because of the cold 4-bet hand. I mean, until this ace-king hand, that couldn't have won anything. Anyway, flop comes ace-6-5. He check calls 15. Turns a 7, backdoor flush out now. He checks, and I do a little slight overbet, going 85, and he jams. Now, his jam was 300 on top of 240. I mean, if he's going to jam, if he's going to raise, he has to jam. So I wasn't thinking too much about, like, oh, it's an overbet. It's the stack sizes. If he's check raising, he's got to shove. And my first thought was fold. And I started thinking, I block 7-5, and I think he just check raises 6-5 on the flops. I don't count that. Could also beat 7-6. I was just getting worried that he has value I beat, and if he does, although I lose to ace-7 also, but it's a real disaster if I fold and he just has a worse 2 pair. Now, he could have 3-4, he could have 8-9, he could have 8-4 even. So this is not a fun spot to be in. I don't know if it's a clear fold. I call, and of course he has the nuts, and I miss. And it's just, I still don't know. I mean, I asked somebody about it. He told me the same thing. He read the hand history. He's like, yeah, my first thought was fold, but then I ended up changing my mind to call for the same reason I did. But it's just sick, how often that they just have it. And in this hand, if he's only calling the 85 with all the hands I beat, then it's a real punt to call his jam. So, that's why my first thought was fold. It's like, with this slight overbet, maybe he thinks I have a huge hand. I wasn't sure if he's putting me on a huge hand or just like an ace-king type of hand. That's what got me curious. And we play another 3-bet pot where the guy who I lost to with 9-8. This was actually before the 9-8 hand. I'm getting these hands out of order, but it doesn't matter. So before I doubled him up, he raised to 15, and I 3-bet to 40 with ace-king off because I thought he was very shallow, but he wasn't. He had 500, so I should have made it 45. All right, 40 it is. Then the really big fish I mentioned before, the one who couldn't call my $81 jam on the turn, he cold calls the 40, so all right, maybe he would have folded to 45. Let's pretend he would have. Razor calls, we go three-way. Flop comes ace-queen 4. Rainbow, they check, I bet 50, and the really big fish calls. Heads up, turns the 5 of spades, 2 spades. He checks, and I actually checked back here. I think that if he has an ace, he's going to bet the river anyway, because with the pot being 220, the SPR was about 1-1 now, because that's only about how much he had left. So I thought if I check back, he's just going to bet a lot of rivers anyway. He might bluff again with something stupid, or he might fold either a gut shot or a queen. Probably won't fold an ace. I just thought I didn't need to be betting the turn in order to get everything on the river, and that checking the turn might make it more likely to get everything on the river, or at least get something on the river. Instead, the river was a 10, and he checks. So, you got to figure ace-king is the nuts here. Didn't like that 10 at first because it makes a few 2 pairs and straights. I jam, and he snap folds. I mean, what the hell did he snap fold? I mean, he didn't even think with a queen. He didn't even think to bluff. I mean, what did he have? Just like a pure like Jack 9 with something, like a backdoor where he just got absolutely nothing and just decided he's not bluffing at it. I mean, it was just really bizarre that he would check, snap, fold the river. And, oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention. Let's rewind a little bit. That hand where I had the ace-king suited and I 3-bet and turn an ace, and the guy bluffs into 3 players, and I got top pair, and he can't even call for 9-1 odds almost. One of the players who folded in that hand said he thought he had an overpair. And he said it multiple times. I didn't even respond right away. I was like, an overpair? I was like, there was an ace out there. I was like, what overpair did he have? He had jokers? I mean, when you fucking talk to these people, you sound like such an asshole, but think about what they're saying. Think about what he said. What is he talking about? What does he mean overpair? Jacks? That's not an overpair. There's an ace out there. Overpair is never ever mentioned, ever, when there's an ace on the table. Even when there's a king out there, nobody ever talks about having an overpair, even though an overpair does exist. It's just saying you never really people think an overpair in that situation. They just say aces. But this guy thought the guy who had bluffed with nothing had an overpair. Folded an overpair on ace 10-7-4 when I had the ace king. All right, glad I got him off an overpair. All right, so anyway, so the game broke. And the guy who had been God moding was continuing to talk a lot. Then he got into this conversation with this other guy across the table, this Asian guy. And they're having a very friendly chat, but it was across the table. You wish it could have been sitting next to each other. And they were just talking about hands they play and results they get. And the guy who's been winning, he's like, yeah, I mean, I know queen jack suit, it's mathematically it's better, but I just do so much better with queen jack offsuit. It's the first really big pot I won, and it's that's just that's my hand. And the guy says to him, he's like, yeah, I just fold ace queen off pre. He's I just running into kings and aces and ace king all the time. He's I just fold it now. It's the parking lot hand. And they're just going back and forth. And every time the guy God moding, he was always talking and winking throughout his conversations. I couldn't tell if he was doing it intentionally or not. I think he was doing it intentionally. He's just the dog having his day. But then they were going back and forth so much, I just started recording them because I could not keep up with their conversation. I could not keep up with the dribble. And, my eyes are freaking heavy, and it's just all these hands are going wrong today, and it just feels like I shouldn't even be there. But then, when I listened to the recording, one of the guy, the Asian guy is talking about a game he saw in a hand he saw in a home game where the board was queen, 6-5. Someone had jammed, and the guy who was tanking, and then the guy who had jammed showed him a queen on queen, 6-5. And the guy is still tanking for a long time. And he exposes a queen as well. And then he calls, and the guy who called had queen deuce. He had queen deuce. That means he's got 3 outs to win. I mean, the 6 outs to chop. He's just praying for queen low kicker and another river card to create a split. I mean, there's so few ways that can happen. And then he hits the deuce on the river. This is a home game hand history told at the table. I mean, holy shit, that's a fuck. You'd think there was cheating at that point. Anyway, so we got one more hand of interest. I was in the new game. I had 5-4 of hearts, called the big blind 3x raise to 15, closing the action, 100 big blinds deep. I think it's fine. It flop comes king 6-7, 2 diamonds, 1 heart, checks to me. Original razor bets 30. Folds over. I'm getting a little tempted to check raise, but this is a little annoying because I only have 6 outs to the nuts on the turn. But I call, and I'm like, come on, 3 of clubs. And bang, there it is, 3 of clubs. Holy shit, I got the nuts. And I think he'll be betting this card fairly often, but I'm just afraid he won't, and I don't think he'll fold, so unless I check raise. So I bet 85, he calls. The river's is another 6, flush draw miss. I bet 250, and he calls. Okay, good. Got stuck relatively big in this game, and now I'm making a comeback. And oh yeah, there actually was one other hand I forgot. I raised pocket 5s under the gun, and the big blind call. Big blind's a reg, pretty decent player. And the flop comes king 9-4, 2 spades. I have a spade. He check calls 20. Turns a 6. He check calls 75. And the river's another 6. Flush draw misses. He checks, and I don't think I have a lot of showdown value, but I should have a little. And I was afraid to try and make a king fold. I check, and I lose to fucking 9-7. I think this call pre is like not very good at all. We're only 100-ish big blinds deep. And when he sees his turn bet, I mean, he's going to be beat a lot. He's going to be facing a lot of draws a lot. He has to expect a third barrel a lot. It's a little surprising he didn't fold here, but his call pre ended up being with a hand that ended up being the weakest hand that I lose to that might have folded to a river bet. I mean, reasonable chance it would have. Who knows? You know, I don't know what he would have done. I mean, if he calls that pointing, if he calls a turn and gets that river, you got to be calling more often than you're going to be calling a lot of other cards. I mean, if you don't call that card, then which cards are you calling? So, you know, he won the hand. Considering how long he took to call the turn, it probably should have clicked in my head, but God, I mean, I'm playing on fucking fumes here. It's not a surprise that it was just these little things that I could have picked up on that, you know, each time you're in these spots, they may not be worth a lot because it's like he could just have a king too. Sometimes it's just variance. I mean, sometimes you think you made a good read, but you just made a lucky guess. I mean, pros can do that too. But all in all, yeah, I ended up getting out of it with a very slight win. I mean, that's usually what happens when I play the Bellagio 2-5. I either win tiny or have a legit loss. But whatever. More I'm just thinking about now is my future with poker. I mean, I know I'm not going to play, but I love Vegas, and, you know, I'm not planning to leave, but I'm not necessarily planning to stay either. I don't know what it would take to get me out of here, but I could leave. I'm not stuck attached to Vegas. I could leave Vegas. And if I do leave Vegas, by the time I do, you got to figure that it means I'm really getting into something I want to do, because it's going to take a hell of a lot to get me out of here. But I'll do it. There's nothing wrong with going to Vegas and staying there, but if you can get in and get out, that's great too. So, all right. I'll see about trying to find a lady, you know, somebody to keep me out of trouble, because I've had girlfriends in the past, and somehow I always got a girlfriend when I never seemed to want one, and I just somehow got one. This seems a little different now. I don't know. I think there's been some kind of shift where I'm actually sort of actively interested in it at this point. So that could be the missing piece here, or I don't know what to call it. But yeah, I need a queen in the deck. Any one of those queens would probably be a good enough thing. But all right, guys, see you next time.